the debate hall, but once the four remaining candidates on the Republican side got together inside the Fox Theater in Detroit, it did not take long for Marco Rubio to go right after Donald Trump.
They do not want you to be our nominee. And the reason why is because we are not going to turn over the conservative movement or the party of Lincoln or Reagan, for example, to someone whose positions are not conservative, to someone who last week defended Planned Parenthood for 30 seconds on a debate stage, to someone, for example, that has no ideas on foreign, someone who thinks the nuclear triad is a rock band from the 1980s, to someone who time and again on issue after issue has not proven that he has the principles that outline what the conservative movement has been about, and as Ted said, the things that made America great.
So Marco Rubio there attacking Donald Trump and also alluding to remarks made earlier by one of his senator counterparts and another candidate for the Republican nomination, Ted Cruz of Texas. Let's bring back in the dynamic duo joining us in this first half hour of our coverage. Skyping in again from New York City, our good friend Betsy McCaughey, and from San Antonio, Texas, syndicated talk show host Joe Pags. Betsy, we see Marco come aboard, and he's got what I call telegenicity. He looks good on television. He always has these lines going. Is that still impressing people, or do you think people are wise to that now?
No, in fact, when I was listening to the Romney quote, the McCain quote, the Rubio quote, there's a new movement in America. Losers against Trump. That's what you're hearing. These are all losers. They can't win a race, and so they're piling on against Donald Trump. I predict that Marco Rubio is going to have his own Fox show soon.
Losers against Trump.
Losers
Betsy,
against Trump.
That's the new name for it. Joe, do you concur?
Well, certainly there's a narrative that's being spread around among the establishment Republicans, and that narrative is from Romney, is from McCain, is from probably Reince Priebus, who I think should have been fired 4 or 8 years ago. And now it's to Rubio. Rubio is the heir apparent. Rubio is who the establishment wants. But when he says things like, they don't want you to be the nominee, he's got to take a look at these voting numbers. I mean, JD, we're looking at voting numbers for Republicans that are setting records in every primary and every caucus. We're seeing a 180-degree difference in the Democrat numbers from 2008 and the Republican numbers in 2008 to today. The Republican turnout is stunningly large. And I don't think that's because of Marco Rubio saying the same things Romney said in 2012. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
That's
Betsy,
right. You know what, Jane? They're wetting their pants in Washington because they finally have to stand up to somebody like Donald Trump, who's calling them out on immigration, calling them out on their failure to keep jobs in this country and to build the economy. And so it's preposterous. They're all trying to resist the will of the American people to make America great again.
And Betsy, you mentioned something earlier that bears amplification, and perhaps you'll want to expound upon it a little bit. I believe you used the word coordination, and I cannot point to it specifically. We may have the audio clip later, but there was one passage from Senator Rubio that sounded chapter and verse like Governor Romney's speech earlier today. Is there, in your mind, without a shadow of a doubt, coordination between Romney and Rubio?
Well, there's certainly, it's more than coordination. There's a plot of Washington insiders and the Rubio campaign to try to beat or disable the outsiders. But the American people are sick of the Republican establishment.
No, I would agree with you 100% on that, Betsy. I don't know that there's coordination, that Marco Rubio and Mitt Romney are text messaging each other or Facebook messaging each other. But I think without a doubt, there is an overlording establishment looking down saying we can't have Trump. We must solidify the message. And if coordination is the right word, I think it's going on. I just don't know that they're actually calling each other. But without a doubt, there's a circle, and I don't know how big the circle goes. And they're saying anything to stop Trump, say these words this way, in this order, and this might help us.
It's the defeat Trump playbook.
And yes, we are getting all sorts of labels on it and trying to define terms, if not a conspiracy, if not direct coordination, at least a conflagration of interests, I guess. We can build word power, but more importantly, the numbers. Who do you think won the debate tonight? You can vote, by going to our website, newsmaxpolls.com. There is more ahead of our special coverage of the debate, so please stay tuned.